Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's amazing guest is Laurie Lewis, who is an intermittent fasting coach. She shares her story of how she gained 50 pounds out of nowhere through menopause and how she lost it with fasting. But more importantly, her brain fog was lifted and her energy increased, her pain and inflammation went down. And at nearly 60 years old, her metabolic age is 40. Is that awesome? That's like something we all want, right? And she teaches how you guys can learn how to fast very, very simply and progress and have amazing results. I totally enjoyed our interview and I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's go and say hello to Laurie. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhige, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Guess what, everyone? My book is out. It is a revised and updated edition of a book I wrote 5 years ago called No Frickin' Way, 21 Days to Ditch the Diet and Lose Weight the Keto Way by Loving Yourself to Health. When I first wrote the original book, I was not a believer in the low carb movement, but after all the years of research I've done, I am sold out for life. In this book, you will learn about all the lies you have been fed, how to engage in loving self-care, how to eat nourishing foods that provide massive energy, why the ketogenic diet is not a fad, how to heal your body through fasting, why you should move your body to get stronger, and how to create an empowering mindset. Start reading now and finally achieve the high energy and positive body image you deserve. Check it out on Kindle, on Amazon. And if you like it, please leave us a review because this will help more people find it. I really want to inspire people to not deprive themselves, but to nourish themselves with loving self-care and amazingly healthy food so that they can age stronger. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it.
Thank you.
Hey, Laurie, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It's great to be with you. Thank you. It's really fun.
I'm excited to chat with you. And for the listeners that don't know you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an accidental health coach. I even got my certification many, many years ago with no intention of using it because I've just had a personal passion for fueling myself well. I never wanted to be the food police and tell other people what they should do and shouldn't eat. But I had kind of an awakening in my late 20s. I thought one day, I think this Diet Coke might not be good for me. It was just kind of like, I'm kind of in a fog all the time. What am I eating? What am I fueling on? And what's in this stuff? And that began, it's now been 30 years of enjoying and studying and experimenting and discovering with a spirit of curiosity and learning, how to fuel myself well. And then, and part of it was getting my health coach certification from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, again, with no intention of using it, just developing, expanding my own knowledge. And then in my mid 40s, I hit perimenopause, and they don't send us to biology school, biology class for older ladies.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
If you go through the checklist, I tick all the boxes of what I was experiencing, but I didn't piece it together as perimenopause, which are the years before a woman, the years that a woman experiences a massive hormonal flip and shifting, and so much is happening. And bottom line, I just felt like my body was overtaken by an alien. I was just like, who am I? What is happening? But I didn't line it all up and think, oh, perimenopause. And then when I did start to figure that out, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to be over. When will it be over? Let my period stop. Let my freedom begin. And the opposite happened. I went into menopause at age 49, which is early. And my period had stopped for a year, which means you're in menopause. And officially, it's kind of unofficial, official. And then I suddenly gained 50 pounds. My hormones were so whacked out. And what's crazy about it is that everyone said to me, wait a minute, you're the healthiest eater we know. You're the healthiest person we know. How did you gain 50 pounds? And I'm like, I know. So I knew it was hormonal. I did not feel like myself. It wasn't just the weight, it was brain fog and memory loss. And I literally was aching head to toe, from my shoulders to my neck to my midsection, my elbows, my knees, my hips, like everything hurt all the time. And for 4.5 years, I applied everything that I knew to do, clean up my food, which was already super cleaned up, it's just like, and reducing caffeine and any sugar that I barely ever eat, and alcohol, and adjusted my sleep and increased my hydration and gentle movement, and nothing shifted. And after 4.5 years of focused effort. And one night, I was home in Colorado where I grew up, and my mom said, you're going to love this. She said, let's use this time that you're home to turn the weight around.
Oh boy, that was well received, I'm sure.
Daughter ears, so from a mother's perspective, she's being loving and helpful, but daughter ears don't, no matter how old you are as a daughter. I was 54. I turned into a wailing 5-year-old, throwing a tantrum and wailing and crying and saying, what do you think? I can just snap my fingers and make it better. Just was such a brat. And she listened, and she said, let's pray for an answer. And I said, I'll take it. Please. And that night I Googled, I feel like it was the same thing I'd always Googled, like hormonal, stubborn, fat, help me. And up popped this idea of intermittent fasting. And remember, I'd been studying nutrition for 30 years or 25 years at that point. And I knew about long therapeutic fasting, but I didn't know you could live your life like deliberately pausing from eating and then eating later in an eating window. And so I stayed up all night reading about it. I'm like, what is this? How do you do it? And the next morning I told her that I was going to try this thing. And it seemed like a perfect time to do it when I was home visiting her. And that was day one. It's been 5.5 years. I've had an eating window every day for 5.5 years. And it's changed, of course, because we live life. But I have a fantasy, Tracy, that every person on earth, we can have shifts in consciousness and awareness and the ways we think and speak about things. And what if I just asked you, what's your eating window today? When are you eating today? And we don't. We just eat whenever food is put in front of us without any thought of, am I actually hungry? And could I deliberately, be fasting and burning my own body fat and having my body in a deliberate state of repair, and I'll be eating later. And we don't talk like that. So I have a personal mission that everyone has an eating window, and it's personalized and customized and for each person. So not prescriptive. Yeah, that's where I got where I am. So now I love supporting other people with having an eating window and fully experiencing being alive and alert and awake. And I am pain-free. I'm medication-free, pain. I have no aches and pains. I lost the 50 pounds in 15 months. And I'm really happy that I'm looking 60 right in the face this year. And I feel great.
Oh my gosh, you look so young.
Thank
you
you.
Do not look 60. So I have lots of questions. Okay. So obviously, I mean, I do intermittent fasting as well. But my question for you first is, what is your window?
Well, I try not and tell people, you know why? People always want to do what the guru does or what the coach does or what the teacher does because somehow people deduce that whatever that person is doing must be the best way.
That makes sense.
And it's so different for all of us. So I encourage people to start today. It's like, it's not like a diet. You and I can happily share how to start, but that each person discover for themselves, as I did, what your fasting groove is. What's your sweet spot? Where do you feel bright and sharp and energetic, and that your body is shifting into fat burning, that you're fat adapted, and that your lab work, your health numbers get better and better and better, and you're sleeping better and you feel awake and alert. Some people love an 8-hour eating window. Some people love having breakfast and a little lunch or a little dinner and close it by 3 or 4. Other people don't even open their eating window till 4 and have a 3, 4, 5-hour eating window and shut it down a little later. So some people have a 2-hour eating window. Some people fast 36 hours and have a 12-hour eating day. So you can have a fasting day and an eating day and a fasting day. That's called alternate day fasting. And, if people have serious health issues and are morbidly obese and are like facing some tough diagnosis sometimes, especially under the care of a coach, doing alternate day fasting will turn their health around really quickly. So that said, I started with 16/8. I decided with my mom, I can fast for 16 hours. I'm asleep for 8 of it, and wait until noon to eat, right? I can wait till noon, have a black coffee, have plain water. And then I realized pretty quickly within less than the first 2 weeks. Well, first of all, the miracle was within 3 days, the fog lifted and I felt like myself again. So for the first time in over 5 years, I had the experience of a brightness and a clarity that was myself, like being restored to myself, that I was like, whoa, that just lifted. And so then I felt like, especially because I was home with mom, eating an early dinner, I was like, I don't need to keep it open 8 hours, 6 hours sounds good. And then I did that 18-hour fast and a 6-hour eating window for, I don't know, 6 more weeks. And somebody challenged me to a 20-hour fast. Now, the difference between 18 and 20 feels like a lot. I was like, whoa. And I did it and I felt really well. So through the course of my weight loss, I was in menopause, 50, at that point, 54, 55 years old. I stuck pretty much to a 20-hour fast and a 4-hour eating window, which was great. I mean, I'd open with a yummy, olives and cheese or hard-boiled egg or some avocado, and then I'd have my meal. And people were like, that doesn't seem like enough time to eat. I'm like, you should stick around and watch me eat, because I'm eating a lot of very delicious food. And so then I would do one long fast a week at some points during the 15 months. Like I would do a mealless Monday, or I would do one of those 36-hour water fast with a 12-hour, up day, eating day the next day. And then I had a 5-month stall on the scale. But during those 5 months with no movement on the scale, my body got 2 sizes smaller. People are like, how could that happen? It's because fasting builds muscle and bone density and reduces fat. And fat is like bigger and fluffier, and muscle and bone density are dense and smaller. And so I was shedding fat and building muscle and getting smaller, and the scale stayed the same. But to kind of boost that stall and move past it, I kind of needed to shake things up a bit. So I did 3.5 weeks of alternate day fasting, but that was 4 years ago. And so since then, my eating window is flexible, but I still feel really good, like well satisfied, well nourished with a 4-hour eating window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday I was on a project and I did not eat at all until dinner. So it was probably maybe a 2-hour, maybe a 1-hour window or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, as soon as I eat, like if I break my fast, I'm very intuitive eating.
Mhm.
So I don't have like a planned schedule, but I just try to listen to my body. But as soon as I break my fast, I feel like I'm hungrier the rest of the day. But
That's
before
right.
I break my fast, I'm not hungry.
Well, that has to do with insulin and blood sugar. Yeah. And some
Well,
people, though, they feel like they eat a small amount after a long fast and they're immediately filled up. And so sometimes that's why you do need a little more time for hunger to rise again and eat more, eat a variety of nutrients, fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And then wait a little bit and see if hunger arises again or if you're actually satisfied. And I appreciate and agree with what you said about the timing being intuitive and your food choices and food quantity being intuitive. In the beginning, before a person is fat adapted and before appetite correction is kicked in and before you can actually hear what your body is telling you, it's really helpful for new intermittent fasters to get into a set schedule. And we are more beholden to the clock in the beginning because it's like, no, I want those health benefits. I am determined. We have the unfortunate situation of being in a society where food is around us all the time. That's an uphill battle. And so if we can rely on the clock and be motivated by the clock in the beginning to establish the pattern and feel better and turn our health around and be in whatever normal weight feels good to your body, then it can be more intuitive. But in the beginning, the clock is very helpful and motivating.
Yeah, and they have that fasting app that's kind of cool. I can't remember what I used to have it. I don't need it anymore.
Zero or the Life app. I like Zero. There was the Window app, which was great, but that's changed and it's not as great as it once was. But I like Zero.
So I want to hear though your story. So Laurie, you said that in 3 days, your brain fog lifted. Why do you think that was?
I think that it has to do with insulin and it has to do with blood sugar. It has to do with inflammation. And, inflammation and hyperinsulinemia are really the root causes of most of the metabolic dysfunction. And so to have my hormones, I feel like my hormones were delighted that, wow, we're getting in balance here. And people think that fasting is such a strain that it creates cortisol, high cortisol. And my experience is exactly the opposite, that if we can discover what that fasting groove is and where you feel so well, that isn't a stress on the body. I mean, exercise is a stress on the body, but you're not, exercising 24/7. So the fasting really is a similar stressor on the body to exercise. And we want to be doing it gently and focused and do it in a way that has us feeling better and better and better, as opposed to stressed out and having it be a hard push. So to answer your question, I think it had to do with insulin and blood sugar and hormones and inflammation. And definitely with inflammation, I mean, I would say that within 4 months, I had no more aches and pains. And within 4 months, my plantar fasciitis went away. So I had this debilitating, horrible pain that shoots up from the bottom of your feet, makes your head explode, for about 10 years. Wow. And it was gone. It's one of the most common results of intermittent fasting that nobody talks about, but all my clients are like, yep, and friends and fasting friends and so forth are like, yep, plantar fasciitis went away within 5 months, 4 months, 3 months. So the inflammation and the way it plays itself out in my life, as my normal experience of life. For example, I live in Portland, Oregon, but I grew up in Colorado, and I was a few years ago driving back and forth to Colorado quite a bit, not getting on airplanes. And normally when someone sits in a car for a while or sits at all anywhere for a while, standing up, we just have aches and pains. I remember before intermittent fasting, I would stand up and my hips would hurt and I'd have to kind of shake them out. And I sat in that car by myself for 13 hours a day for 2 days in a row with no aches and pains. My wrists don't hurt. My shoulders don't hurt. My back, my bum, my knees, like my hips, like nothing hurts. I get out, I pump gas, I get back in the car, I drink plain water, drink a black coffee, get to my destination, sleep well, do it, repeat. And to be nearly 60 years old and have no part of myself in discomfort has to do with the fact that I am putting my body into a state of repair for a good, 16, 18, 20 hours every day.
So that's a really good point you just made, is that when you're not eating, your body is able to do repair.
Yes.
And also make more mitochondria. So then those are, more energy centers. So, but did you only add fasting, or did you also or use your words, Tracy, change the types of food you were eating, or was it just fasting?
I changed nothing else.
Wow.
Here's what I always say. I ate the exact same way when I was lean and running marathons and, in ideal weight and ideal fitness. I ate the exact same way when I gained 50 pounds in menopause. I ate the exact same way when I lost 50 pounds. What was the difference? The massive hormonal imbalance of menopause and the addition of intermittent fasting balanced it all out. And the aches and pains went away and the inflammation went down and insulin was. I also had other signs, even though I was a lean weight before, like during perimenopause, signs of hyperinsulinemia, which were like brown patches of skin and skin tags. And, our doctors don't test for fasting insulin unless you beg or you get your own numbers. And so no one would suspect I was a lean weight. No one would expect or suspect that I had high circulating insulin. So,
but when you were running marathons, were you doing goos and gel packs and stuff like that? Or were you doing like the bananas and oranges and all of that?
All of it. I followed it. The only thing that I did not follow as a long distance runner was I'm not someone who can eat before exercise. And I had to be quiet about it because people are like, oh, you have to eat before you exercise. I'm just like, no, I'm going to have a black coffee or a coffee and go out for my run. And I wouldn't tell anyone. And then the times that I would try eating oatmeal before, I'm just like, this feels awful. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage people that I want people to discover for themselves that fasting as the foundation makes all the things in your life that you care about better. So some people do need to change their nutrition. Some people do need to go to a yoga class and go walk more and get on the treadmill and lift heavy things. I mean, we do need to make life. Some people need to sleep earlier and drink more water. But to answer your question, I changed nothing about my food and I changed nothing about my fitness. I mean, and when I gained all the weight and during perimenopause, I felt so out of my body that I didn't run anymore, but that didn't have anything to do with the 50-pound gain. The 50-pound gain came with the ending of my period. But I want people to know that if you start with fasting, your fitness and your exercise gets easier and stronger and more stamina. Your food choices get clearer. Your body starts telling you the foods that it really wants and the foods that it would prefer you steer clear from. Your meditation gets clearer and easier. Like your work performance gets more focused. You could be a better parent because you're more patient and thoughtful. It's just like all the things that are important to you as a human being can actually get better when you're conscious of taking advantage of that repair time, that healing time, those fasting hours, and then eating later in an eating window. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true.
Oh, no, it doesn't sound crazy to me.
I know it doesn't sound crazy to you, but people who haven't tried it are like, that makes no sense. It's the most counterintuitive way to get more energy is to pause from eating and eat later in an eating window.
Well, that's just because we've been brainwashed to believe that we need 3 small meals and 3 small snacks every day, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember thinking that way. I've been in this industry for a long time, and it was like the visualization that we were told was that it was like a fire. You keep having to add wood to the fire, right? And maybe
Right.
back then we didn't realize that when the fire wasn't burning, your body was able to do other really cool things like
That's right.
healing and repairing and, all that. So are you still running?
I exercise in other ways. I walk a lot. I do yoga, and I have a membership at Orange Theory. I've just reduced my numbers of times per week because it's pretty intense, and the intense exercise just isn't working for me. And so I'm stay strong, and I love holding a good plank. And I just think that our attention needs to be on, rather than an external scoreboard of how our clothes fit and what the scale says. And, we can have a lot of measures on our scoreboard, like how am I doing, like our lab work and all sorts of indicators of how am I doing. But what I want people to do, and all my coaching is all about, is first and foremost tuning inward. It's like, how am I doing? Is this working? Pause, sit down, breathe, turn your attention inward, scan yourself head to toe, and ask how you're feeling. And if you feel like I have the same great energy at 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 9 p.m., and I am strong and I have no aches and pains and my lab work's getting better, then you're doing great. Good
Yeah.
work. And so then once you can say that you feel really well, then we can look externally to what the scale says and how our clothes fit and what we look like in pictures and what the measurement of our waist is. But I really want people to tune inward first.
Go within. One of
Yeah.
my teachers, that he says that we have only one book, or he goes, the book that I would write would have one page, and on that page it would just say, go within.
Yes. And because I believe so much in the healing and the repair that fasting provides, I want to highlight that there's a reason that fasting is part of spiritual, religious meditation traditions, because it creates a quiet. I would say this is not a diet, it's a quiet. And things get clear and quiet, and there's more space in our thinking for creative, peaceful thoughts. And it allows the opportunity, as you said, to go within, to turn inward. In the beginning of intermittent fasting, people often say, just listen to your body. It's like, in the beginning, you can't listen to your body. You can't discern. There's too much noise of constant eating. And so we need to get into that deep repair state. You did mention the mitochondria, which I appreciate. And that reminded me that last winter, I had a whole battery of tests done, testing my cellular health and the strength of the mitochondria and the amount of oxygen in my cells. And so the results came back that my biological age is 40. So I'm about 20 years younger in my biological age than my chronological age. And that has to do with my cellular health. And the doctor looked at she came back in and she looked at the clipboard and she looked up at me and she's like, are you an intermittent faster? I'm like, yes, ma'am. She said, well, I can tell, because she said, how many hours fasted are you right now? And I said, about 13 hours. And she said, you're 100% burning fat. Like, look, she goes, look at these numbers. Like every 8 seconds it took a reading, and I'm burning no other fuel source than fat at 13 hours fasted. So
that's awesome. I need
exciting.
to find a doctor like that. I mean, you mentioned Diet Coke earlier. A long time ago, I had a doctor, and she was kind of new to the area. So I thought, well, I'll try her. I'm always looking for somebody. I haven't ever found the right one. And I saw her drinking a Diet Coke. I'm like, well, you're not the right one. I'm like, okay, bye-bye.
It's pretty basic.
I would love to find a doctor that would be able to do all of those types of tests. They're not easy.
This was at a really special resort, if you will. I hesitate to call it a resort, in Costa Rica called Blue Spirit. And it's the same founder that started the Omega Institute in New York. And they have a longevity center and I signed right up because I wanted to know those numbers. In fact, you might think this sounds super woo-woo, Tracy, but
Oh, I'm woo-woo.
I had this feeling that I didn't know how healthy I actually was. The thought came in. It's like, I think I'm healthy, but how do I actually know? And so I said, I feel like it was out loud. I don't know why I'd be talking to myself. I don't normally, but it was such a strong thought that it seems like it might have been out loud. It's like, I want to know how healthy I actually am. It's like I just sent it off in a loud, bold voice. And within 24 hours, I found out that Blue Spirit had this longevity center and the exact kind of machines that I would want to identify how healthy I actually am. And then the results came back pretty awesome.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the listeners that have never tried intermittent fasting, will you please tell them how they can get started?
Yes. And I'm going to let's include the people who say they've tried it, but it either, air quotes, hasn't worked for them, or they tried it and they never felt better, but they haven't quite gotten back to it again. So here's how you start. Decide today, and yes, today, what time you're going to close your eating window. And what that means is, so I subscribe to the clean fast, which means the fasting hours are for fasting and the eating window is for eating and flavored drinks and so forth. So why not purposefully put your body into a complete state of repair, digestive rest, hormonal balancing, deep cellular repair of autophagy, like have it all. And mostly you can find anything on the internet that'll give you permission to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's like, no, come on, people, like get everything you came for, and then eat the yummy foods, have the flavor party later in your eating window. So today you decide, what time am I closing my eating window? And after that, you drink plain water and you go to bed, and you wake up tomorrow and you drink plain water. And if you like coffee, you have a black coffee. If you like tea, you have a plain bitter black or green tea. And then 12 hours after you closed your eating window, you open your eating window and you eat. It's like 12 hours. So that's really hard for some people, because some people eat and drink flavored drinks right up until they go to bed. And from the minute they wake up, eating or drinking flavored drinks, and especially candy coffee, as I like to call it. So for some people, that 12 hours is hard. For other people, 12 hours is nothing. So wherever you think you fall in there, you want to aim for 12. And if 12 is easy, make it 13, make it 14. And then over the course of, I don't know, a week to 10 days, you want to gradually increase it to 16 hours. So you can shave some off the evening. You can add some time in the morning. But if you can aim for like 11 to 7 or 10 to 6 or 1 to 9, you get to say there's no right time to close your eating window. And I just want you to aim for 12 hours. It's been proven by many researchers, but especially Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute, that a 12-12 circadian rhythm fasting will extend your life and you'll feel better. So 12-12 is a viable schedule. There, you're doing it.
Yeah, that's easy. 12-12 is easy.
12-12 is easy but not for everyone in the beginning. For some people, that's a stretch. And especially people who are very addicted to coffee creamer and have a hard time with late night snacking and drinking right up until you go to bed. So I want to definitely acknowledge that is a stretch for some people, but get to 16-8, meaning an 8-hour eating window, and eat normally. Okay. So what is normally? Normally is what you normally eat. Eat what you normally eat. And your job is right now to just focus on learning how to fast clean, eat later in your eating window, and get your body and your schedule and your family and your timing and your fitness, kind of worked around that fasting hours and eating window. And then your body will start informing you about the foods it would prefer that you not eat. And it will start informing you of foods that it would like for you to try. That, there's a joke in the intermittent fasting community that is, what is it with Brussels sprouts? Everybody's body's like suddenly telling them to have Brussels sprouts. So if you're somebody who's out there going, no way, those are disgusting, just you wait. You might be someone whose body says, yum, try some Brussels sprouts.
I used to hate them. That was like my number one food that it was a big way up there that I would not do, but roasting them is amazing.
It's so good. Yep. But just start simply and fast clean, save the flavor, save everything for later in your eating window, get in that groove. You'll really be fat adapted and adjusted within 3 to 4 weeks. And my second encouragement is, if you need to get on the scale, if the scale is your primary measure and that's the thing that communicates to you how you're doing, I really love for people to get on the scale for 3 days in a row, get a baseline. Okay. So weigh for 3 days, add them up, divide by 3. That's your average. That's your number. Put the scale away for at least a month. Why? Because it makes us crazy getting on that scale, wondering, how am I doing? How am I doing? It's working. Is it working? Is it not working? So if we can quiet that noise and get that off the table as an option, we have a shot at turning inward and asking ourselves, oh, how do I actually feel? And this is the beginning of that practice of prioritizing how you feel over what that external source, that glass or plastic box on the metal box on the floor of our bathroom is telling us about ourselves. It's not helpful. It's not really helpful.
It's not good. It's not good to give our power away to an inanimate object. There's a great quote a friend of mine said, that why weigh yourself when you can roll in broken glass and light yourself on fire and feel the exact same way.
Oh gosh. And say horrible things to ourselves that we would never say to another person. And I mean, the internal noise is deafening. I love that. Indeed. I love that visual. I will remember that. Yeah, it's a torture. So then when you reintroduce the scale, you get to your 30-day mark and you're happily eating in an eating window and chugging along, fasting clean, feeling better. You will come to the day where you wonder, oh, can I get the scale out again? And let's have a chat because you want to envision, again, how you feel. And what if the number does or does not reflect how well you feel? Like, what's your expectation and what's that going to say about you? And what noise, is it going to resuscitate that we don't really want? So,
well said.
Really simple. There are 2 parts to every day: clean fasting hours and eating window. And you get to say when it is, get to move it around for your social obligations, and you get to eat the foods that make you happy, and you get to increase the foods that love you back and decrease the foods that you discover are detrimental. And we're all different. Really honor your own body. And you can change
it. You can change it daily. You can do it different. So let me ask you this, though. There's one thing that I have noticed within my own body that I find to be really important. And I tend to, I saw you have an Aura ring like I do.
Yes, I do.
And my heart rate is up way higher when I eat like dinner at a normal dinner time, 6 or 7. So I prefer eating my biggest meal like around 4 or 5. I can see a significant difference with that.
That is amazing. That isn't the case for me. I tend to have a later eating window. I prioritize. I know that if I eat in the middle of my workday, I'm going to feel sluggish. And so for me now, it's been 5.5 years. I drink water. I have 1 small cup of coffee in the morning. Sometimes I don't even finish it, black coffee. And then I drink water all day long, and I am alert and focused and bright. And the idea of eating just sounds like a big drag. And then I'm very excited and I look forward to my dinner later. And so I'm someone with a later eating window. Some people really feel so much better when they close it at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. But
what time do you go to bed?
I go to bed between 10 and 11. Yeah.
That might, I go to bed around 9.
Yeah. I should. I've tried for years to shift my sleep and it doesn't work for me. So I open my eating window, usually 3:30 or 4, and have about a 4-hour eating window, but I'm not beholden to the clock. I'm really, beholden to tuning into my own satiety and my body telling me, yep, I've had enough, or yep, have a little more. And then I close my eating window and start winding down with some good sleep hygiene and preparing a quiet, soothing environment, and reading and turning off the electronics and having a cold room. But I'm usually up 10:30, 11.
What time do you wake up in the morning though? Maybe you sleep in later.
Well, I don't. I normally wake up at 5:45 or 6. So I work hard to get it to be 7 hours. And
what's your score? What's your score that you have?
Today it was 90.
Oh, that's good. 85 is like anything 85 and above is supposed to be great, right?
Yep. Yeah. So after reading Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, many years ago, I mean, that just beat into me this fear of getting less than 7 hours of sleep, which then you really need to be kind of in bed, thinking about sleep, thinking about turning the lights out, 8-hour range. And so, yeah, I'm just squeaking by around 7 hours.
Well, you seem like you have lots of good energy, so
Thank you.
It's working for you, right?
Yeah, it's so great. And I love the added feature now of the breath and the oxygen. What are they calling that on the Oura Ring? It's a new.
Gosh, I haven't even noticed it.
It's new. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Do I have to upgrade?
Oh yeah. You got to go into your app store and upgrade. It's the average oxygen saturation when you're sleeping.
Really?
Yeah. And you want it to be over 95%. It's a new category in the sleep section. Everybody get an Oura Ring. I am not a gadget person. And I have loved it's Oura, Oura, and I have really loved having it. And it's taught me to respect deep sleep more than I understood before. So, I probably stop eating 2 to 3 hours before lights out, which our body really needs. And I can see that my body gets all the deep sleep before 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. So if I go to bed at 1, it's still getting not very much before 2. It's like stops that brain scrubbing, that cleaning. And if digestion is in the way of that, that's a hindrance. But getting to bed at an early hour, for me, 10 is early. I lived in New York for 25 years and didn't ever even eat dinner till 10. So it's a miracle that I get to bed between 10 and 11 now.
Yeah. Well, I live on a farm. So my husband always laughs that I go to bed with the chickens. He's like, what happened to that party girl? Exactly. We traded rings on our 30th anniversary. So that's really significant for us. Yeah. So
that.
It's kind of fun.
That's awesome. It really is fun. Yep. I'm a big fan of the Oura Ring. I'm a big fan of a variety of data telling me how I'm doing. Again, tune in how I feel first. That's like, I feel great. Okay. What are the other data points? The scale, my waist measurement, how my clothes fit, how long I can hold a plank, when I'm going to bed, how much water am I drinking, and what my lab work is, and, my biological age. So I don't want people to have one thing on their scoreboard called the scale.
Right. Exactly.
No way.
And to your point, would you rather lose pounds or would you rather lose 2 sizes?
Exactly.
Anybody who says pounds, they don't comprehend the difference.
And who knows what that number is? It's not like we're wearing a scarlet letter A. We have to write the number on a Post-it note and put it on your shoulder every morning. Nobody knows if it was 254 or 178 or 118. Like nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, why, instead of focusing on the number on the scale going down, focus about the number on your weights, on your barbell going up.
Yes, I have heard you say that before, and I love it. Yeah,
you have?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want people to feel so good in their own skin as we're aging. Okay, so we're getting older. It's inevitable. We cannot reverse that. People really, really try to make themselves look better and reverse their aging. But, my hair has never been thicker. My nails grow in like a weed. I'm healthy head to toe and no aches and pains. And so I just want people to eat in an eating window, have it be a daily habit of fasting clean, and dig in and learn about the amazing and astonishing ways the body is healing and in repair and rooting out cancer cells when you're in a fasted state and balancing our hormones and enjoy that. I think one of the biggest surprises about intermittent fasting, once people have done it for a while, is that the fasting hours are as, if not more, pleasurable than the eating window. And we enjoy our food. I mean, high quality, yummy, nutritious, delicious food. And I certainly look forward to my meal and my snack and my meal every day. But the fasting hours is that's the time I really feel my best.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. 100%. I love it. And where can people find you?
I'm at fastforwardwellness.com. My business is called Fast Forward, and I would love for people to download. There's a free checklist of how to start, just to make sure you're following it step by step. It's not complicated. We keep it really, really simple and have it work for your life. And you can listen to bunch of videos that I have and different podcasts that I'm on and look at my programs. And I love hearing from people. Nothing makes me happier than when someone starts and then updates me later how they're doing. And if you feel like you need a guide and a community and uplifting support and accountability, I am so happy going to work every day. Like I can't believe at this phase in my life that my experience every day with my work is that I found my calling. I get to have people realize that they can feel better and better and better. And it's just exhilarating.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% love to hear that. You are just a spark of energy. And then last question, where on social media are you most active? If somebody wants to follow you on social, what's your favorite?
Tracy, that's such you would think that would be an easy question. So I am on Instagram. I never post. I am on Facebook, and it's my personal Facebook page. So friend me. But I spend all my time coaching people, being in my membership group, supporting my people, and spending time having fun conversations on podcasts. And at the end of the day, when I open my eating window and go to sleep, I have no time for social media. So yes, I'm an old person. I'm going to be 60 years old. There are plenty of older people who love their social media involvement and presence, but I'm not on there.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I really feel like our psyche is shifting a little bit. And when it all first came out, everybody was really present and excited and engaged. And now everybody's kind of pulling away. Yeah. And I'm with you. I feel like it's better. If you feel like you need to go surf it, I don't even know what it's called, Instagram, or spend time there. How about putting your device down and go outside and be with people, right?
And hear birds chirping and look at the grass. I mean, it's just like, it sounds so simple, but these are the inputs that our human bodies have needed throughout all human history. And we need more time. As David Sinclair, who's one of the world's leading longevity experts, he's like, human beings have survived by being cold and hungry. And he says the number one thing that people can do immediately right now today to live longer is to intermittent fast. And to feel better today is to intermittent fast. So yes, spend time with people, spend time with nature, take really good care of yourself, breathe. And, I have clients around the world from Kuwait to South Africa and Uganda and Europe and the UK and the US and Japan and New Zealand and Australia. So, I wake up early and jump on. If it's nighttime where someone else is and it's early morning for me, we'll have our sessions. So it's really awesome. Yeah, I love every minute of it.
Good, good, good.
Thank
Well,
you,
I just want to
Tracy.
thank you so much. You are just a bright, shiny star. And so you're beautiful. I can't believe you're going to be 60. Love your story. So I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today.
And thank you. Your podcast is a gift. I mean, high energy girl. I mean, it's just like right up until, as you're just going to keep on blessing people's lives and keep up that good energy and spreading good cheer and good information. And
okay, that was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Connect with Laurie at her website at www.fastforwardwellness.com. And for complete show notes, including links, please head on over to highenergygirl.com/show. Now go out and make it a great day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.